From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us for the October 11th edition of Carolina Week. I'm Bridget Williams.
And I'm Katie Payerly. We're proud to be bringing you coverage of Carolina news and events. The presidential candidates are divided on the issue. So are people in the community. FDA approval of the RU 486 abortion pill is stirring up controversy.
Abortion rights activists call it a major victory, and those opposed to abortion view the approval as a reason to renew their fight. Carolina Week's Caroline Patterson has more on this debate.
It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. The recent FDA approval of the French abortion pill requires only 3 visits to the doctor and 3 RU486 pills for a woman to have an early abortion. RU486 works by inhibiting the hormone progesterone, which prevents the embryo from implanting and growing in the uterus. OBGYN physician Judy Chang says she doesn't fear women will abuse the pill as a form of birth control.
Women take birth control, or they take pregnancy, and they take situations of their reproductive health pretty seriously, much more seriously than I think the general media and the general public give them credit for. So I really think that this basically gives more options to women.
RU486 offers an alternative to surgical abortions, but some say ending a pregnancy shouldn't be as simple as popping pills. Father Philip Leach of the Newman Catholic Student Center explains why he and other Catholics strongly oppose the use of RU486.
The intention is to end life, and we are against that in all its forms as Catholic Christians. So we find ourselves profoundly disturbed by the FDA's approval of this drug.
Unlike other forms of birth control, RU486 won't be readily available to all women. FDA restrictions will allow only certain qualified physicians to dispense the abortion pill in their clinics. In Chapel Hill, I'm Caroline Patterson, Carolina Week.
RU486 is considered 92 to 95% effective, but may cause side effects including nausea, vomiting, and painful bleeding.
Whether it's effective or not, people have strong opinions about whether it's right or not. As we found out on campus, this is an issue which divides many people.
Generally, my view on abortions is that it's immoral, but I don't think the U.S. government has a right to say one way or the other about it.
I'm happy that the FDA approved it. I think it's another option for women, and I think that whatever administration comes to power after this election, there will definitely be some new laws about it, and I'm happy to hear that.
The one problem that I do have with this drug is that it could eventually be offered over the counter, and I think that this would just encourage abortions.
As for people thinking that it would lead to more abortions, I don't think so. I think people are more intelligent than we give them credit for.
I am against abortion. I'm pro-life, so obviously I don't support it. But I also have other concerns because it's taken the FDA 12 years to come out and say that it was safe for women.
Well, I always think it's a woman's right to choose what they want to do with their body. And at that same point with abortion, if the woman chooses that, that's her option.
Strong opinions on both sides of the abortion debate keep this issue controversial. It's sure to remain a hot topic in the ongoing presidential debates.
It isn't often that a high school football game ends 4 days after it started, but a scare at Chapel Hill High School's homecoming game caused school officials to finish Friday's game on Tuesday. Only students, school officials, and parents were allowed to watch the conclusion of Chapel Hill High School's homecoming game against Jordan High School. The game was postponed because of possible gunfire that left a 12-year-old girl injured and that caused officials to evacuate the stadium. In addition, a 42-year-old man was severely beaten at the game. School officials increased the number of security guards at the game, and everyone entering the game was forced to walk through the main gate and was checked out by metal detectors. Vice Principal Bob Kempner says students weren't bothered by the added security.
I think there was a fairly solid sense of that, the game would go well today. The news release that was released yesterday gave all of the essential information, and I think people were aware of that and prepared and accepted the fact that we needed to take the additional precautions.
If a firearm was used, it would be the first violent incident involving firearms at Chapel Hill High School. School officials say they'll also implement the same security plan for their last home game of the season.
Get involved and get registered. That's what several minority groups hope UNC students will do this week. The groups are sponsoring a voter registration drive to encourage minority involvement in the national presidential election and local issues. Operation Dorm Storm begins Wednesday night to register all on-campus students. And if you want your vote to count, your last chance to register on campus is Thursday from 12 to 2 in the pit. You can even vote early starting October 16th in Moorhead Planetarium. One issue on the ballot this November is state bonds. Chancellor James Measer has spent the last several months making sure people know about the bond issue. The state has proposed selling $3.1 billion in bonds to fund public university and community college construction projects during the next 6 years. The chancellor says the passage of the bond referendum is his first, second, and third priority until the elections in November. He says the best way to become an effective voter is by learning about the issue. Chris McClure is the chairman of Students for University and Community College Bonds. He says the chancellor's involvement in campaigning has been an effective way to show how this issue affects more than just students.
I think when you have your top university administrators out there working just as hard as a campaign, the students are working and everyone else, it shows that there's unity, and it is something that, these activist students aren't trying to push. It's something that is really needed.
The chancellor is encouraging people to vote early.
Today is National Coming Out Day. We have the campus celebration.
And once again, an annual walk with a cause. Miles for Money for a Cure, when Carolina Week continues.
What services come to mind when you think of the American Red Cross?
The Red Cross does blood drives, don't they?
They help out with natural disasters.
Giving blood.
Tornadoes and hurricanes.
Blood. Natural disasters.
I'll bet you didn't know that the American Red Cross also provides emergency services for military families and delivers health and safety instruction in first aid, lifeguard training, and CPR. Contact your local Red Cross chapter to learn more about the services they provide.
Hey, there are a lot of ways we can help our community. Spending our money in Orange County, whether it's filling up the car or shopping at local businesses, helps maintain our roads, improves our children's schools, and creates jobs. Spending your money locally helps us all in a big way. So remember, shop Orange first.
1 in every 4 people suffers from some sort of mental illness, and you can help them. Carolina Week's Holly Hedrick tells you how.
Exercise wasn't what these walkers had on their minds. They had a different goal, raising money to fight mental illness. Almost 2,000 people gathered Sunday at the Angus Barn restaurant in Raleigh for the 12th annual Walk for Hope. The Walk for Hope is the major fundraiser each year for the Foundation of Hope, a nonprofit organization that gives grants for mental illness research. Teams as well as individuals registered to walk, and one team member says everyone has a reason to participate.
I don't think anybody has to think very hard to realize that mental illness does touch everybody's life in some way, whether it's a family member, a co-worker, just someone you know in your neighborhood.
Walkers and runners of all ages warmed up and then lined up, eagerly awaiting the bang that kicked off this year's event. Runners got a head start on the 6-mile course, and walkers followed. Crowds cheered them on, and one founder said she couldn't have dreamed that the Walk for Hope would become so successful.
It's a tearjerker. You know, as I was standing there at the fence, just watching the people, and there was just almost like a sea of people going up Highway 70, and you just get this huge lump in your throat, and you can't fight back the tears.
As participants cross the finish line, it marks the end of this year's Walk for Hope. But with almost $350,000 in donations, it won't be the end for the fight against mental illness. Participants celebrated ending the walk with free food, drinks, and music. Many say they'll definitely be back next year. In Raleigh, I'm Holly Hedrick, Carolina Week.
Along with additional grants, last year's endowment will launch the largest study of schizophrenia ever in the United States. That study will take place here at UNC hospitals.
UNC Chapel Hill has a reputation for student activism, and members of the Queer Network for Change stormed the pit Wednesday, celebrating the 12th annual National Coming Out Day. The students marched through campus to promote and support the gay and lesbian community and to raise awareness throughout Chapel Hill. The march is also held to encourage lesbians and gay men to reveal their sexual orientation to family, friends, and coworkers. Group co-chair Amanda Hall says the event lets people know more about the homosexual community.
We're marching to show people that there are out queer people on campus and that we are proud to be queer and that we are here and we do deserve the same respect that anybody else deserves.
Other gays and lesbians across the country participated in similar events.
Obesity in children has doubled in the past 12 years. UNC Chapel Hill and 6 other universities just received $34 million to tackle a part of this problem. This is how physicians and healthcare professionals would like to see children spending their time. But after children reach middle school, their activity levels often decrease. The study will develop a plan to get teenage girls fit and help them avoid obesity-related health problems. Researchers will also tackle problems concerning mixed messages teens get about body image from looking at magazine models compared to fast food advertisements encouraging everyone to eat more. Principal investigator Dr. June Stevens says there's a reason the study is focusing on girls.
In elementary school, both girls and boys are pretty active. But when they get to middle school, they both decrease their levels of physical activity, but it's especially acute in girls.
The study will take 7 years to complete and will involve thousands of 7th grade girls.
Brad Matthews is halfway through his term as student body president. Reporter Jessica Pratt tells us what Matthews says he's accomplished so far and surprising reactions from students.
Brad Matthews stepped into his role as student body president 6 months ago with high expectations. He knows it will take time for his vision to become reality, but says progress is already being made.
Primarily, we've been working on getting the one-stop polling site for students for the general election, which we've been successful in doing.
Other goals that Matthews hopes will be completed next month include installation of clocks in every classroom and additional email terminals in Graham Memorial and the campus-wide. Matthews says many of his plans aren't overnight goals.
Some of the platform goals were not tangible end accomplishments, but more maintaining stances.
And his main goal illustrates this.
Number one is increasing the amount of outreach and active involvement with other student organizations and students on this campus.
But if student awareness is a mark of how well students understand this, it may take more time than Matthews ever expected to accomplish this goal.
I don't know who our student body president is.
I don't even know who he is, what he's trying to do, any of his goals.
Well, I know Brad, first of all, is a very hard worker. Second of all, I'm embarrassed not to know more about what he has been doing. I've just not been informed.
I haven't been keeping up, so I don't really know.
I don't really know what his platform goals were. I didn't follow the election that closely.
Right now, time is slowly running out for Matthews, but information on his accomplishments is accessible.
You can access it on the student government webpage, which is connected to UNC's homepage.
The site contains the October report, a required report to Congress and the student body that gives a detailed account of Matthews' accomplishments. The report was released on October 3rd. In Chapel Hill, I'm Jessica Pratt, Carolina Week.
Student government elections take place in the spring term, so Matthews has about 6 months to work on raising student awareness.
UNC men's soccer team scores another win. Sports is still to come on Carolina Week.
But next, Scott Jackson is here with our warm-up forecast that will have all of you wanting to sit out and enjoy.
You do if your mother asked you. So class, tell me, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh, that's right.
Yes, Molly?
I want to be a supermodel when I grow up.
How about you, Josh?
I want to be a cowboy when I grow up.
Well, doesn't anybody want to be a designated driver when they grow up?
A what? Designated.
I don't know what that is.
Driver?
You heard of that?
What could you do with a free hour of your day?
Take a jog, wash your car, bake a cake, or watch TV.
Ever thought about giving blood? It only takes an hour. It saved my life. Someday it may save yours.
A single pint of blood can save 3 lives. Be a hero. Give blood.
Throughout my career as a coach, I've lived by the simple axiom that behind every individual success story is a team. The success of Durham Public Schools does not depend on one of us, but all of us. Through community involvement and support, we can take a giant step in helping our children achieve their hopes and dreams. You're going to walk with me, and I'm going to help you to be that great soccer player.
So it was cold this weekend.
It was very cold. We set some record lows earlier in the week.
What happened?
Well, we just had a very cold air mass move in. We'll talk about that in a second, but first, we have a weather question for you. The question is, what state does not observe daylight savings time? Is it A, New York, B, Alaska, C, Hawaii, or D, Florida? We'll have that answer for you in a second. But around campus today, very nice weather. Students who came back from fall break may have been thinking, hey, who let the cold out? The answer to that is, well, we did have a cold front come through, and we had some record lows as well. We'll talk about that. We had a record low of 33 on October 9th, which was Monday, and that broke the previous record of 35 degrees. And on October 10th, which was yesterday, on Tuesday, we had a record of 31, shattering the old record of 37 set back in 1989. All right, the surface map shows a big high pressure over our area. That's bringing us all the very nice cloudless weather. Back to the west, low pressure and a cold front, bringing Montana, Wyoming, some snow showers, but closer to our area, we're just feeling the effects of high pressure. Anytime you have high pressure, you're gonna have nice, clear skies. And the forecast shows that. We have 75 on Friday, 77 on Saturday, and 77 on Sunday. In October, mid-October, you can't ask for much nicer weather than that. Look at these lows, 40s, that's tolerable. And on Monday, 81 degrees with a low of 54. If you want to get outside and take in any activities, you just really can't ask for much better weather. Big sunballs all the way through, except for on Monday, maybe a chance of a cloud. All right, at the beaches, if you're heading out there, highs in the 80s and lows in the 50s. On Saturday, 80. Sunday, 80, maybe a cloud on Sunday. And in the mountains, nice weather there too, very seasonable weather for checking out the fall foliage. And lows in the 40s, highs in the 70s. Game time temperature, can't forget about the big game against the Carolina Tar Heels and the Wolfpack. We have a game time temperature of 78 degrees. I went 1 degree higher just because I know of all the excitement that's going to be going on out there, guys. And if you're going to be going out there, I'm sure it's going to be a huge game. And I'm not going to predict the outcome of that one. I can do the weather, but I can't predict the outcomes of that. Weather question, we have.
Coming back.
We have the weather question. There it is. Which state does not observe daylight savings time? Do you have an answer?
Alaska is what I would have guessed.
No, that's a good guess, but actually it's C, Hawaii. However, it is not the only state, I just need to clarify, not the only state that doesn't observe, but it's the only state that the entire state does not observe daylight savings time.
Really?
So that may be more than you ever wanted to know about daylight savings, but there you go.
All right, well, I'm glad to hear there's going to be a little bit warmer weather coming up.
Yeah,
Yep,
looking forward to
Definitely
it.
good to know.
Thanks.
All right.
All right. Well, regardless of the weather outside, it's going to be an electrifying storm inside Carmichael Auditorium this Friday night. The reason? From Devin Biganis is just ahead.
He'll also have a preview of the UNC versus State football game, which in years past has brought with it big defensive plays and overtime excitement. Sports is next on Carolina Week.
I need a break.
Yeah, well, what I need is a little peace and quiet when I come home. I've been working hard all day.
You have got to do something about that son of yours. I can't stand it anymore.
Well, maybe if you were a better mother, he wouldn't be such a problem.
Better mother? When do you ever spend time with him?
Family Counseling Service of Durham. We can help. Call 286-3757.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We have ignition. We have liftoff. Join the next mission aboard the Moorhead Planetarium. For more information on Sky Rambles, call 549-6863.
Big game coming up.
Yeah, the Heels are going to stomp the Wolves, right?
We'll see. With the way State's playing and the way we're playing, it should be a pretty good game at Kenan Stadium. The Heels and the Wolfpack will play for the 88th time this Saturday at Kenan Stadium. And as always, it's a big game for both schools. In the rivalry of two schools separated by only 25 miles, the previous two games between these teams have been decided by inches. Last year in Charlotte, State receiver Chris Coleman was stopped just short of the goal line by Tar Heels' David Bomar and Earl Hood to preserve a 10-6 Heel victory. In 1998, it was an overtime classic. Heel receiver Nay Brown caught the ball in the end zone and managed to get both feet inbounds to beat the Wolfpack 37-34. Heels cornerback Earl Hood says there's a reason why these games are so close.
Because I think it's a great rivalry in it, and everybody just playing their hearts out, and you have offense playing their best, defense playing their best, and it's just close games. Nobody's giving up anything. It comes down to a last-second play to win the game every time.
In an area where Duke versus Carolina is the biggest basketball rivalry, Carolina against State has historically been the big game of the season in football, and Carolina has a current 7-game winning streak in the series. Heels defensive end Julius Peppers talks about why the State game is so big.
Because nobody wants to lose, really. They don't want to lose because we're so close to each other. They don't want to lose us. We don't want to lose them.
Another twist on this rivalry is that many players for the Tar Heels and Wolfpack played with or against each other in high school.
That's what makes the rivalry so close, because you have your boys across the street. You know, it's like playing against your best friend and be jabber-jawing, talking trash, but that's what it's about.
The 2000 football season was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Wolfpack. With a freshman quarterback and a rookie head coach, the future seemed bright, but the present is what State fans are excited about. The team has a 5-1 record coming into the Carolina game. The only blemish on that record was last week's loss to 4th-ranked Clemson. The Tar Heels want to improve on last year's record. One of their 3 wins last year was against the Wolfpack. If history is any indication of what this game will be like, it will be decided in the 4th quarter, and it will be a game of inches. Carolina basketball is back, and so is head coach Matt Doherty. Doherty spoke to students on campus about the upcoming basketball season and midnight with Matt and the Tar Heels. Students listened, laughed, and applauded as the new head coach talked about the upcoming season. Doherty said he is happy to be back at Carolina and is looking forward to the upcoming season.
Friday night. Fortunately, the calendar works out that fall break doesn't start this Saturday, so you all are around this weekend, and we want to kick off the season with a lot of energy, a lot of passion towards Carolina basketball.
Previously called Midnight Madness, Midnight with Matt and the Tar Heels begins at 11 p.m. in Carmichael Auditorium. Coach Doherty and the staff will play the champions of the 3-on-3 tournament. Coach D will also compete against a female student in a 3-point contest. The team's practice and scrimmage will begin at midnight, and if that's not enough basketball for you, Tar Heel Vince Carter and the rest of the Toronto Raptors face George Lynch and the Philadelphia 76ers October 16th at 7:30 in the Dean Dome. The Heels men's soccer team is still on a roll with a recent win on the road and one at home against the tribe of William and Mary. First half started slowly, neither team having any luck finding the back of the net, but in the second half, the Tar Heels come out firing. Here, ACC Player of the Week Chris Carrieri nets his 10th goal of the season. He's good, with an assist from Mike Busey. Busey also assisted Caleb Norris on the first goal of the night. That's all the scoring the Heels would need as they go on to win 2-0. It was the 4th shutout of the year for Tar Heel goalkeeper Michael Yosicki. The 8th-ranked Heels are now 10-2, following up the win against William & Mary with a victory against Maryland in College Park. Well, it should be a very exciting weekend. Midnight with Coach Matt is Friday night, and then the big game versus State on Saturday. Busy weekend in sports.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Coach Matt's all about, huh?
And the blue and white game is next weekend, right?
That's next Saturday, the same day as the Clemson football game.
Thanks, Devin. Okay, so you're not going to believe our next story.
It's about a character named Mr. Winky.
Well, and he's much more than he appears to be.
You'll meet him when Carolina Week continues.
Mother taught me. She's
averaging 18%. Balance the budget. Increasing clouds for...
TV. Your remote stops here.
One out of 20 people in the United States has been infected with hepatitis B. 2 billion people in the world have had hepatitis B in their lifetime. 80% of newborns that are infected with hepatitis B are likely to have it for life. More people are infected with hepatitis B than HIV. Many people have it and don't know it. There is no cure yet, but it is preventable, and there is support and treatment. For more information, visit our webpage or email us at info@hepb.org.
He's cute, he's cuddly, and one of America's rising supermodels.
CNN's Ann McDermott reports on why this little guy is causing Winklemania.
Cute toys. But wait, that's Mr. Winkle, and he's for real. Laura Jo Reagan, who owns Mr. Winkle, says some mistake him for a cat or koala, but he's all dog. Or is he an alien? Or a bedroom slipper?
Oh, that's great.
Reagan, a Los Angeles-based photographer, says Mr. Winkle is her best friend and favorite subject. Mr. Winkle has lots of patience for posing, and now he has his own calendar. Look for it on the Mr. Winkle website.
I felt that I really had to share him with the world.
And the world, it seems, has been waiting for Winkle. They ogle him. They email him.
My name is Katie, and I'm in the 6th grade. Please.
Katie emailed Mr. Winkle to let him know that even though she loves her own dog, she chose to write a school paper on Mr. Winkle.
When you see him up close, you fall into Winkle mania.
Now, Winkle mania has its downside, all those baths and those blowers. And then there's Clark the cat, who's getting a little bit jealous of bunking with a superstar. It wasn't always this way. When Reagan found Mr. Winkle a few years back, he was abandoned, abused, and she took care of him.
Just a minute, almost ready.
But she never could get that tongue of his to stay in his mouth. The vet says it's just too big, which makes mealtimes a merry mess. And then there's that lurching gait of his, probably a reminder of those ugly early days. But there's something rather gallant about this stoical little creature and his determination to run with the big dogs. What does Mr. Winkle do for Miss Reagan? He makes her happy.
Forget Prozac. Just look at Mr. Winkle.
Is there a Mrs. Winkle somewhere out there? Maybe a litter of wee Winkles somewhere down the road? Maybe, but Reagan doesn't seem to care. After all, there is only one Mr. Winkle. Ann McDermott, CNN, Los Angeles.
What a cute puppy.
That is just too cute.
I just wish I could take him home with me.
And what luck that she just found him and she's a photographer and amazing.
Yeah. Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thank you for joining us and be sure to come back next week. Until then, have a good week.
Good night. If you have a story or idea you'd like to contact Carolina Week at 843-8292 or carolinaweek@unc.edu. If you have questions or concerns about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.